Hello, everyone. Welcome to this episode of Beyond the Barclay with me, Jez Davies. I am, of course, joined with my substitute co-host this evening, Mr. Adrian Coote. How are you, Adi?
Yeah, I'm good, Jez. Thanks. Nursing an injury from Saturday, broken fingers, but apart from that, tickety-boo.
So how did that happen then? Talk to us a little bit about the game that you had on Sunday and what occurred.
Young defender versus old bones.
That's fair enough. And whilst obviously we're in a bit of a how do we put it? Transition of head coach at Norwich City, aren't we? Perhaps just give us your spin on that and what you thought when the news broke on Saturday after the game, and what you think about the potential replacements.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think many people were surprised. I think it was coming. A win, a draw, being 1-0 up probably would have just prolonged it a little bit. So, maybe conceding 2 goals has helped the teams in terms of getting that process now moving along. I don't know. I want to see Daniel Parke back. I know it's not going to happen, but I can still dream.
Yeah, I think if it had been 2 or 3 weeks later, there might be more of a chance of that, because I think he's still got a couple with James Grace at Leeds, hasn't he? So, but we'll see. I think we've talked for long enough. So if we move to introduce our guest for this evening, AD. So we've got Tom Parke, who as well as being manager at Dereham Town, started the Sobriety Club with Roy Bevis, who's also on to discuss the Sobriety Club. So, Tom, I suppose if we start with you, if you'd just like to quickly introduce yourself and talk to us a little bit about the project.
Yeah, as you rightfully said, got the wonderful job of managing Dereham Town. Work full time at Dereham Education and Soccer Academy, which is their academy there.
Nice.
I run Personal Best Soccer as well, which is a charitable organisation for 11 to 16-year-olds. I've got a little bit of an Airbnb business going on, sell some socks, and work with the, when people say don't meet your heroes, I got to meet mine. Zebra kid, back in the day, long hair, terrible attire, doing an elbow drop off the top rope, but I'm really pleased to call him my friend, and I'm glad to do something special with that wonderful human next to me to my right on here.
Excellent. So, Roy, if you just like to, I think that was a fabulous introduction from Tom.
AI.
If you just
all AI,
of course. But if you'd
You
like
can't
to
even spell AI.
You can tell what sort of episode it'll be. It's going to be this evening. I've already had the wheelie bin story, Prince Wales Road, so that's going to be mentioned.
That's coming out.
Yeah, absolutely. Roy, if you'd just like to perhaps introduce yourself and what the Sobriety Club means to you personally.
Well, I'm obviously Roy Bevis. I'm from a wrestling family in Norwich. Been travelling the world for 30 years wrestling, and Sobriety Club means everything to me. Has changed my life completely, and it's something I needed to do.
Fantastic. I mean, I think your sister that I think's gone across to America. She's also involved in the project. Is that right?
Yeah, well, she's been sober now 7 years. She's the one who helped me get sober. She's done terrific. Yeah, she's done really well.
Yeah, no, that's good, Roy. Adi, I think you are, correct me if I'm wrong, but you're an ambassador as well for the organisation. If you could just, I know we talked about it previously, but perhaps just talk to us about your journey with that as well.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously what the guys have come up with and what they're starting is unbelievable. There's a much bigger picture to this that obviously moving towards, but obviously recovery and sobriety is very close to my heart. I'm very passionate about it. I get a lot of joy out of seeing other people get to that point in their life where they realise that they don't have to have a drink again, and that realisation that it's still every day as it comes, and we can never take stuff for granted, but you get to a point where you get that choice back, whether you decide to pick up a drink or not. And so when I speak to other people that have experienced that and that have gone through that, and the joy coming back into their lives and the peace that they've got within themselves, it's just an amazing feeling. So to be part of something that can reach out and spread a message across to other people that could potentially experience the same for themselves. It's quite far-reaching in that sense, and been very open in terms of my struggles and my battles with alcohol and stuff. But equally been championing the idea that there is another way, and there is people there that are willing to go out of their way to help other people, to talk to them, to show them, to provide safe cafes and stuff. We've been talking about for people to go and just relax. This kind of peaceful mindset, peace over chaos, is what's been widely shared, and that's exactly what it feels like for me in terms of where I'm at now in terms of my journey within my own head, within my own self. Things feel a lot more peaceful now compared to the chaos of before. And so I feel absolutely thrilled that these guys are taking on something, and I can share that with the people that I know, in the hope of building something that will ultimately help other people experience this. It's amazing.
No, that's really good. Thanks, Coote. I think just as pro as we always are, I've just sent you the questions for this evening to your device. So if you're able to perhaps take the even numbers, I'll start with the odd numbers. So
me?
Yes, I have. Yeah, I've sent you the questions.
God,
So,
where will I find them?
On WhatsApp. But I'll leave you to
one job. He had one job,
I know.
Jez.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anyway.
Yeah, pro as always, Tom. So I think I'll start the questions for tonight then. So and we'll go with Roy first, actually. So Roy, if you can describe your earliest or fondest memory of supporting Norwich City Football Club, please.
Sure. I remember Robert Fleck. I think Robert Fleck and Dale Gordon days. I remember Flecky scoring. I think my first game, I think, was Millwall. That was 1-1. I think Robert Fleck scored. And I was a massive Robert Fleck fan. And I've always been, obviously, a massive Norwich fan. So, yeah, Flecky and Dale Gordon, I remember when I was a kid.
Yeah. I had the absolute pleasure of interviewing Robert Fleck the other week at the Ambers Army
What a
event,
legend.
which AD set up. Yeah, he's such a nice bloke. And, I remember on him when he came back for his second stint with Norwich, and still as good, still scored goals, and obviously Coote, you would have played with him at that time as well. I know. So I think you mentioned about the goal that he scored in your debut, where you were standing side on, ready to tap it into an empty net, but he still went and scored a worldie. So yeah, that's great, Roy. How about yourself, Tom?
Am I going to get in trouble for saying I don't support Norwich?
No, it's fun. Who do you support?
Yeah, but not anyone really. Because I do football like every day.
Yeah.
I just like watching Netflix when I get home. No, to be fair, I'm just a football fan. I'm a bit of a geek, really. I like all football. I follow all different countries, all different styles. I'm a big fan of the reason that we all love football is because it's very, very hard to predict. It goes in cycles, it goes in styles. There's different magical players in different positions of all generations. And I think that I've just got this broad appreciation for there's different ways to play football and different ways to win. And I think that's the reason that the game's so beautiful, because there's so many different cultures and styles. And I'm just a bit of a geek fan of it, really. A bit like wrestling and football, and I'm done, really, to be fair. So that's where I'm at with it. But obviously, like to see my home team do well. Don't like to see them struggle. But I'm also a realist that, I see what they're going through at the minute. What I would say to defend the club from being in an experience with my local team is that when there's lots of changes in the back and financially, and you get a lot of new people in the building, Rome isn't built in a day. Sometimes you have to go through cycles, and it takes time to build an environment back up.
Yeah, it's an interesting interesting thing you've just said there, because I think as good as that is, I think it's then do we have to keep hold of a manager more than 13 games for that to be realised? Because that's the problem that we've got at the moment. The manager, it's a revolving door, isn't it? I mean, Forup, I think, would have been a perfect project manager. We weren't going to go down, so why did they? I don't know. I think I'm going off on a tangent here, so I better hand over to AD for question 2.
Yeah, no, and it's to you, Roy. Toastie will attest to the fact that both big wrestling fans with obviously our own wrestling experiences, haven't we, Tom? But obviously that's been a big part of your life, and obviously, really kind of interesting journey in that sense. Like, just talk to us a little bit more about kind of the wrestling, the experience, being on the road all the time, and kind of, how that sort of shapes things, and what it's like, the highs, the lows, and obviously culminated with the film as well, the Hollywood film, Fighting with the
Yeah,
Family.
yeah. Well, I started wrestling when I was about 12. I didn't go to school really. I was on the road with my dad, traveling around wrestling all over the place. We used to do holiday camps. So we used to do holiday camps. We do 16 shows a week on the holiday camps,
Wow.
Butlins, Haven, all that sort of stuff. So I was wrestling 16 times a week at age of 13 with my dad, and I travelled with my dad. And obviously, as I got older, I progressed. I went to America, Mexico, all over Europe. I wrestled everyone you can think of, really. Jake the Snake Roberts, remember him back in the day, the Bushwhackers, all them sort of guys. I grew up wrestling all them. But the negative side of wrestling as well, that was a big drinking culture in the 90s, late 90s, early 2000s. So I was traveling, and then after the shows, I'd stay over, and that's when I was to get on the old sauce and all that. So that had a lot of positive in my life, but also it brought a lot of negative as well with the drinking culture.
Mm. Yeah, I think that's the biggest. I think test is probably the wrong word to use, isn't it? But when you're in that environment where it's, a show and stuff, and everyone's there to go and enjoy themselves, aren't they? And have a few drinks, but actually,
especially when you're young as well.
Yeah.
When you're young as well. I mean, I was only a kid. I was a kid going into a man's world, and like obviously when you got thousands of people, and everyone telling you you're great, you start believing the hype a little bit when you're younger, don't you? You start believing that you are something. Do you know what I mean? All of a sudden, you start doing the party and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, but I mean, that's given me a great life. I can't knock wrestling. It's given me a fantastic life. I've travelled around the world, met some fantastic people, and I'm very, very lucky and very privileged. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Coote and Roy, though, you two can probably relate to this though. Because you're both outstanding at what you've done. That comes with like the adrenaline rush of what you get when your music hits or when you score a goal. You've got the pressures off the field. You've got all them things that are thrown into the mixer, as well as being young. And there's nothing like experience when you get older. You've got all them things going on, and like Roy, like you don't get enough credit for your wrestling. Like you're mega at what you do, and like I was literally sitting at Wembley with this man like a few months ago, right? And we're in a bot, right? And he goes, just look after the kid and need the toilet. So off he trots. So I think he's getting to the toilet. Next thing you know, his sister's music hit in front of 86,000 people. He just walks out, and I'm thinking this is like unbelievable. He comes back, and I went, that must have been the best thing ever. And he went, that was all right, wasn't it? Like, just absolutely like, So I think Roy, like you're really good at the wrestling scene at what you do, and as you admit to, you've made mistakes and stuff. But in terms of both of you, you've hit like elite levels at what you do, and that comes with sometimes prices just emotionally, doesn't it? So.
Yeah, I think as well. You're always looking for that high. Like if you're scoring a goal like Cootie did, like on that Carrow Road, or I walk out the curtain and everyone's screaming my name. When that goes away, you're looking for another high. So you start turning to alcohol, thinking, oh, this could be my, this is a high. But no high will ever come close to the crowd cheering my name or scoring a goal at Carrow Road at the Barclay end. There isn't a high will ever come close to that. No drink or drug will ever come close. And I think that's where I'm at peace now. I realise that I've had my time. I still wrestle, but I've had my time. I'm very lucky and privileged that I've done the thing I love doing, and I'm just at peace now. And sobriety's give me that.
Yeah. And do you
I
still
completely get that. Like that's exactly, perfectly describes how it was for me. Chasing that next high. You played football back then maybe once or twice a week. You might have scored, you might not have scored. The crowd cheering for good pass or something felt fantastic. Saturday evening, Sunday afternoon, whatever, when that wasn't there, how am I going to kind of get that feeling? How am I going to get that buzz? And that's, it's a slippery slope.
Do you still coach, Roy, as well, the wrestling? Is that something you keep your eye on?
Yeah, I still coach, and I've just finished. I do boxing as well, so I've just been coaching at boxing tonight as well. So I keep my hand. I just enjoy helping other people. I'm 44 now, and I've had my sort of career. I love just helping other people. Like I had a young lad in yesterday. He messaged me. He's only 19. He's just gone sober as well, but he wants to be a boxer. So I trained him yesterday with a boxing, and I had another lad message me last week. He's 22. He wants to start wrestling. and he wants to go up drinking as well. So I've been training him as well. Do you know what I mean? And to be
Yeah.
honest with you, I don't do it for the money. I ain't about the money. I do it for nothing because I want these kids to have a good life. Because I remember I really messed my life up. I mean, when I was in my 20s, when I was 19, I was literally looking at going to Fulham or going to WWE. I done either. I was in prison by 22. Do you know what I mean? So if I can help these kids get on a straight and narrow early doors, they can have a better life for themselves. That's what I'm trying to do.
No, that's amazing. No, that's really good.
It'd be really easy to get yourself into like a sober state of mind and live a sober life and be really kind of content with that. But it's next level to then want to actually selflessly like try and give that to other people and help other people, because it's just such an amazing gift to give yourself, but then to be selfless enough to want to give that to other people. And there's a big part in that, helping the other people, you know, with the boxing, but also to stop drinking, that is actually really helpful for yourself in terms of keeping you and having a purpose, and you know, and that keeps, you know, helping other people keeps me with a sober mind. I'm guessing the same for you as well. It's just, you know, we're not doing it for acknowledgement or for anything like that. Like, we generally want other people to not have to go through some of the things that we have to, and the sad reality is that some of them will have to, and they'll have to get to a place that's just so uncomfortable and so difficult that they'll put their hands up and say, I need help now. Like, and that's the sad reality for a lot of us. You know, we have to get to that point where everything around us has just gone, fallen apart, and then say enough's enough and then rebuild again. But so not only, you know, is Roy going through that process of rebuilding, but while he's doing it, he's trying to bring other people along for the ride, you know, and other people so they can have that as well.
You're a product of your environment, haven't you? You've said that, Roy, haven't you? Like,
yeah, I mean, if you hang around with good people and positive people and uplifting people, that rubs off on you. I mean, years ago when I was in my 20s, I was hanging around with the wrong crowd, wrong people. That was on me though. That was my fault. I don't blame anyone else. But you know, my life was very negative back then. But I had negative people around me, so I became negative, and I was doing the wrong things. You know what I mean? Drinking heavily and doing stuff. But now I've got such a small crowd, less drama, but also very good people around me, which lift me as well. So if I need to speak, like Toastie's been brilliant for me. I've got to say that I've known him for years, and he's always smiling, he's always a laugh. And if I ever feel down, the first person I message is Toastie. Do you know what I mean? We meet at the Barn and Brum at 6 a.m. sometimes for a coffee with the open fire, and I sit there and I was like, "Oh, I had a bit of bad one or whatever," and he listened to my stuff, sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So you do need good people around you as well. I'm very lucky. Yeah.
I tell him to put it into AI. That gives him the answer better than my answer.
Makes more sense than you.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Can we talk about the wheelie bin, please? I really want to talk about it. What happened?
Well,
on you, Tom.
Well, we used to work together at Norwich, and we just had a night out. We had a few nights out, Coote, to be fair, didn't we? And one of them involved. Yeah, but was it Monday Night Liquid, by the way? Could we, you know, at the time, Monday Night Liquid, what a place that was. And we just happened to be going down Prince of Wales Road. And because me and Coote love wrestling so much, I think we felt that we, you know, were like a tag team. You know, I was like Hornswoggle, he was like Fit Finley or whatever. And he just literally looked at a dumpster at about 7:30 in the evening before the night had started. And he went, put me in that. I went, mate, it's like 7 o'clock. You're going to stink. He went, just put me in that. And to this day, I mean, you can take the next bit, but you actually celebrated, didn't you, being put in a wheelie bin?
I can't remember whether it was a backdrop, whether it was a pile driver. Honestly, Roy, the technique was flawless.
You want to be F5.
F5. Yeah. Face first.
Yeah.
I come out, I had tomato sauce all around my face from empty containers. I had tea bags, back of my jumper. But yeah, God. You know, and as funny as it was about being the clown. It was about getting that high, about getting people laughing and stuff like that. And so, you know, as memorable as that was, and you know, we'll tell that story again, I'm sure. Thank God it's not like that anymore.
Yeah.
You know, we
Yeah.
can just
Well,
high five each other.
Roy, I told him about the one when me and Matty Bannon were annoying the life out of you in Mercy VIP. I don't know how I got in there, by the way. I think I was living off the back of you, Kiwi, to be fair, to get in there. And or Time, sorry, that's how old we are. It was Time. And we were annoying you, Roy. We kept wrestling around you, and you were going, "Will you two, couple of helmets, stop wrestling? I do it every day. Stop it." And anyway, night progressed. We ended up going into the toilet before we went on to the next bar. And the poor gentleman that used to wash your hands and do the old spray was a little bit disrespectful to young Roy over here. So you can imagine me and Matty, we're at the urinal and we hear this choking noise, turn around and Roy's put him in $1 million dream. And he was shouting at me and Matty, "This is how you wrestle. This is how you wrestle." Honestly, world class.
Oh,
Best
God.
night ever.
Good old days.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Tom, let's talk a little bit about your journey at Dereham Town then. So how's the season going and what's it like working with Grant Holt?
Yeah, so I would say the season's a bit opposite to our other seasons. So like we've had quite good starts in other years, and then we've sort of tapered off where at the end where it starts to get the nitty gritty due to because our budget's not very good because of that. I think everyone's aware of our financial situation. We're trying to get out of a lot of debt. I'm lucky, like with Coote, we've coached a lot of lads, so I'm very, very fortunate that I can get good players in for a lot cheaper because I've worked with them since they were 11. But with a poor budget, your squad depth isn't particularly very, very big. So I think when we've come up against injuries or you're sometimes being successful in competitions hurts your squad. So when you're in 4 competitions and you've got someone who's a builder, they can't, when it's 2 games a week for 5 weeks in a row, they break down. And we just haven't had a big enough squad. So we've always come close and then dipped out, or we've lost a playoff game, or we've got to a Senior Cup semi-final, blah, blah, blah. This year, we started a little bit ploddy, but we're obviously just now in November. We're in the top 7, which I think if you look at the league, anyone can win that. And without being disrespectful, it's definitely a winter league. Like when it hits winter, the whole thing changes. If you put 4 wins together in a row, the whole world changes for you. So we're in the mix there. Again, we have to be a little bit careful what we wish for, because I think that however much everyone would like to go up, and you'd never stop it, but are we going to be competitive with the budget that we are? We're probably going to have to lose all the current squad, play a load of kids, come back down again on the current basis. So we have to be a little bit careful. But we're still in the Senior Cup quarterfinals, which is where we want to be. We want to go and compete in that. And we're still in the FA Vars, last 64 at home draw against Benfleet, hoping to have another good cup run in that. So I think if you'd have said to me at the start of the year, "Tom, your budget's been reduced, but you're going to be in all 3 major competitions come November with a chance to be competitive," I'd have snapped your hand off, to be fair. However much it's frustrating, because obviously I'd like to sign all the best players in Norfolk, pay them a load of money and sit back and enjoy a game in the dugout and not have to scream like a madman every single week. But that's just not going to happen. I've just got to keep doing it. And I do love it. I like the challenge, and I in my blood. Roy will tell you I'm quite good when we're back against the wall. I just back myself, and I like having a fight every week. It's great. Perfect.
Fantastic. Just before we move back to the Sobriety Club, we've jumped around a little bit this evening, but Adi, just talk to us a little bit about your prolonged football career. I know you mentioned about the hand earlier, but talk to us a little bit about the season you've had across remind me of the team you play for. I always forget. Sorry.
Oh, on Saturdays. Yeah, so I played
He's had more clubs
for
than Tiger
Philby.
Woods.
Played for Philby on Saturdays. We got promoted last season, so we're now in the Ancom Division 4 South. It's been a bit of an up and down start for us as a team. I think we've won as many as we've lost. We sit just above mid-table. We've had some really good results and some really good performances. We've had some really difficult results to take and not so good performances. But I think, obviously in your 20s, even sort of early 30s, your motivation for playing and your reasons for playing is different to what it is now. I'm knocking on 50's door, so I'm just grateful that I can still run around and contribute to a team and be of use. but it's the lads for me. You know, it's about being in a squad with just a real decent bunch of lads, and you know, I want them to do well, and I try and offer them as much as I can in terms of advice and guidance. But just, you know, I've got two uses really, you know, because I can't run anymore. I can hold the ball up and bring people into play, and I can get into the box and score goals. And I think as soon as either of them stops, then I stop, because I can no longer contribute in a useful way. So
I think, sorry to interrupt you, I think your experience plays a big part as well. I mean, I remember when I first started playing football for Horsford back in the day, bloody hell, 23 years ago. And it was a guy called Mick Morris, and he won't thank me for mentioning him, because he wasn't that sort of character that wants to be mentioned, but he was mid-50s. And we all, when we were 16, 17-year-old boys going into play adult football for the first time, we really looked up to him. And I think that was a real benefit, having someone of that experience within the team. And, you know, 23 years later, I still mention, I remember his name. I remember what he used to say to us in the dressing room and stuff. And I think it's really important having that kind of, and Tom will tell you, obviously having someone like Grant Holt in the dressing room, it must be incredible having that experience.
Oh yeah, I didn't answer the question. Sorry. You know, I went off on a tangent.
No,
I think, and Aidy will be able to relate to this, I just think it's quite nice when ex-pros step down and want to help local clubs, to be fair. I think if you go back into the 80s, that happened a lot in local football when pros stepped down. And I think there come a time where that didn't happen as much. And I think it's just quite nice to see people come down and want to help grassroots football where they started and give back to where they started their careers. I think it's quite good. Obviously, Holt's a little bit like me. It's quite a challenge at times, because we have to wear multiple hats. You know, obviously he's more than just a player. I'm more than just a manager. The amount of stuff that we have to do, paint fences, go for grant applications, all that stuff that people don't see, we have to wear multiple hats. So it's more than just a hobby to both of us, really. I think it's just you have to live every moment, kick every ball, and just go through it. You got to remember, we're trying to turn a club out of a major debt. And it's very, very easy when the club is in debt to drop everything and try and not pay anyone and go down leagues. But we're trying to be competitive whilst rescuing a debt, and that's very, very difficult to achieve. And I think we're doing a good job. Is that we're competitive whilst coming out of debt, and we just it's going to take a while, but when it does go, I think we're going to be quite successful. And it's quite positive.
Yeah. No, good luck to you, mate. And I think we're going to try and do some stuff with you in the new year as well. Morgan, who is the other half of the Beyond the Barclay podcast, has already started doing some work with Danny. Is it behind the scenes? So we're here to help as much or as little as you want us, really. Yeah. So I think if we move on to no, not at all. If we move on to, I'll leave this one for you, Adi. Question 5.
Oh. Hold on, mate. I'm struggling to get this up here while I have this filming as well, so you'll have to bear with me.
That's all right. I can go if you want.
Let's have a look.
I never edit any of these, by the way, boys. These go out as they're filmed. So,
Roy, we've done. To be fair, we've both done quite well with the swearing tonight, haven't we?
Yeah. Normally I swear like anyone. Yeah.
I was going to do it.
So as we spoke about earlier on, delighted to be working with you guys as an ambassador for Sobriety Club, but just give us a little bit more information around how the idea came about, conversations you had, and kind of how you worked together to get where you are now.
Roy, take the floor with that one.
So basically, when I went to go sober, I went to a few AA meetings, and I think AA is fantastic. It works for millions, but it didn't work for me. I went there and I hated the vibe. I hated how negative it was. One person sat there, 20 people around there, everyone was negative. That didn't work for me. I just didn't like the vibe, but that works for millions. So I'm not knocking AA at all. I want something more upbeat when I go there, and a bit more. I just want a bit more communication with everyone else. It just seemed really downtrodden when I went there. I mean, I went to a couple of different places, and I just said to I come up with the idea where I want somewhere like a cafe / AA / vibe with a little bit of background music, and people can just talk amongst themselves. So if I see Coote, I go, oh, hello, how are you? Like, blah, 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 chatting about how long you been sober? And he can give me advice, I give him advice, and everyone just mingling together. That's the sort of environment I think I feel comfortable around. So I thought about starting a sobriety club. Then I obviously spoke to Tom, and obviously he said, well, let's do it then. And he's like a dog with a bone. He's like, let's do it then. And then straight away, bang, it just started. Then he got my sister involved. Then obviously Cootie, and that's just gone crazy. I've only been 2 weeks, it's gone mental. I mean, I walked through the city the last couple of days, and loads of people stopped me saying, this is fantastic and well done on everybody who's involved so far. And it's only been 2 weeks. So this is a project I thought would be like 6 months to a year. I mean, I just keep going and going and going. But obviously, with all these great people behind me, I can't lose.
Yeah, I mean, you should be immensely proud, I think, of what you've achieved even in 2 weeks. I think it's, you know, your numbers have grown on all of your social channels, haven't they? And all of the merchandise that you're starting to do as well. I think it's great, and I think it's part of a wider message that people do need some help sometimes, and it's got to be done. I think that's the wrong way of putting it, but it can be done in a really positive and friendly environment. And I think you're right. I mean, I've never been to an AA meeting, admittedly, but I've seen it. You see it on TV dramas, don't you? And I know it's not the same, but you see it, and they're all like, "My name's
my name's Roy, I'm an alcoholic," and then everyone's quiet, and then I personally enjoy it, but like I said, that works for millions of other people. I'm not knocking it, but it didn't work for me. So I ought to do something what I feel will work for someone like myself. Do you know what I mean? And that's why I come up with the idea, and obviously I spoke to all the guys, and we're cracking on with it now.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah, to be fair, Roy, it happened quite quick, didn't it? Because basically I run on the side, I run a football sock business, and I think it's worth mentioning the Duffys as a family, and Jacob Duffy, who's 18-year-old lad running a successful clothing range. We're lucky that we've got the things in place where we can deal with like merchandise and clothing, and then we obviously had Roy was the living, breathing, walking, like he is the message, and his passion is like you bottle that up and you spread that across the world. Then we obviously had Soraya, who's global superstar, the face of the brand, but also Royal back me here, like still the most humblest person you'll ever meet in the world. And we just felt that if we created a brand that, yes, it is about clothing, but also it's about the message, it's about what it can do for people, but with the view that to help Roy in the future, build his own centres, and that can go across the world. That was the aim for me. I mean, we've all come from different backgrounds. Ray has got her own background, and like Cootie's explained his, Roy's explained his. Mine was slightly different. Mine was getting into a culture of coming home from being stressed, drinking too much in my 30s, getting ill off the back of it with my gallbladder and my liver, living a really, really unhealthy way of again, coming from your childhood and not facing up to it a little bit. But I've now got a different life. I'm very, very fortunate that I've come out the better side of that. So I can, I'm very, very fortunate for the life that I live now. And I want to give back. Big thing for me is like the awareness to the youth, like that, being under pressure, having stuff going on in your past, it's good to talk, it's good to be accountable, and just a bit of guidance around, like, you don't have to go down certain paths and get into bad habits from that, really.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. And I think you've probably touched on question 6 already, about how, the process of starting it. So I think you guys have covered that really well. So, perhaps moving on to question 7, where would be like a good place for someone that perhaps is in a position at the moment where they need help, and they need to go through the Sobriety Club? How would they do that? Essentially, how would they contact you?
Well, they can go on obviously Facebook or Instagram and all that sort of stuff, and they can message us through that, and then obviously we can put them in the right direction.
Yeah, I think that's
the
key,
benefit of that as well. The benefit of that, like, me and Roy have got a meeting tomorrow morning quite early, haven't we, Roy? Like with actual professionals that literally they've reached out to us and gone, can we come to your events and be a safe space in a safe space? So it's a bit like a hybrid. So you've got the environment that Roy's talking about, where it's just open and you can just be open and honest and not, feel at peace. But also like what Adrian was saying about you can also have the availability that if you want to go and talk to someone in the corner privately and arrange an extra meeting off the back of that who's a professional, then we want to be able to give people that.
All right, guys, we appear to have lost Tom. Hopefully he'll come back shortly. But Adi, if you just wanted to perhaps sort of carry on what Tom was talking about there.
Yeah, I think all our journeys with alcohol, but also our journeys into recovery and sobriety are all different. But I think lots of the feelings and lots of the experiences and lots of the carnage and the chaos is the same for most of us. I mean, my experience of AA was different to Roy's, and that's okay, because it's not about who or how or anything like that. It's about, you know, getting sober. And I always remember, and this still stays with me because I, you know, work quite a difficult job, and it just kind of keeps me reminding myself. There's a big difference between not drinking and being sober. And I know that might sound a strange thing to say, but you know, you can have people that don't drink that are just absolutely holding on by their fingernails, you know, and they're really angry with the world, and no part of them has changed in terms of their personality or their inner peace. They just don't drink. And that, you know, is quite a difficult life, because drink was my solution. It's what helped me cope with life. And so if you take that away from me, that drink, but you don't give me a different way to live my life, I then get stuck in having to live like this, but sober, which is infinitely more difficult for people like me. And so what I had to do is I had to learn to try and live a different life. And that's what I mean by being sober. It's that sober thinking and that sober kind of thought process that brings that inner peace. So it's all right to not drink, but you want to be sober. And I think that's where the peace and the joy is for me. And so I think, given the state I was in and the smashed up surroundings, and I mean like metaphorically smashed up, everything around me I'd just torn down, I think anybody, there was a real willingness to get sober. So I think anybody could have got me sober, but that's just the first bit. The real hard bit is staying sober. And that is a journey that we're still on. You know, by no means has this been cracked. Yes, I'm coming up to 11 years sober, but it's still got to be a day at a time for me, because that can easily be taken away from me. I'm literally the length of an arm away from another drink. You know, when you look at it like that, you need to keep yourself with that sober thinking, because if that goes, it's not long before resentments and anger with the world and all of those uncomfortable feelings start coming back, and your mind starts to get a bit full and things start racing around. How can I quieten this down? I know this used to work before. I don't want to go back there. Like, you know, I really, really don't. So, you know, it's about helping people achieve that sobriety, that sober thinking, as well as the not drinking part, because they're two completely separate things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
The thing as well, Coote, is like you and Roy are saying, like your personalities without drink are like amazing anyway, aren't they? Like, I'm not just saying this, but you'd literally still let me put you in a bin, but you don't need a drink.
Yeah.
Yeah. But again, and how things change, because as funny as that was and as great as that was, and there was some small buzzers around it, the idea of going down to Barn and Broom at 6 o'clock in the morning and have a coffee with you guys in front of a fire, God, how much more rewarding and peaceful does that sound?
Exactly.
And
I love it. Yeah. Yeah.
Give me that any day.
Yeah, not
you know?
not when the fire keep going out. Is that right, Roy?
God. Says in with
Can't
50p
keep that fire lit
internet.
for toffee there. Yeah.
You think they'd be all right? It's sort of quite sort of woody around there, isn't it? You think they'd be quite good at keeping that lit, but never mind.
Honestly, if anyone from Barn and Broom's listening to this, keep that fire alight, will you?
Yeah, especially in the morning.
Get them one of those electric ones.
One job.
Dear. I think it's your turn, Mr. Coote.
Of course it is.
Question 8.
Yeah, let's have a look.
This is so. Just to sort of set the scene on this question, I didn't write these.
Have I really got to ask this?
Yeah.
Okay. Board games are fun. Everyone loves playing them. What board game represents your personalities and why?
Oh, you got to go fast.
Roy's froze. That question was too much.
I'm not
for him,
surprised with that question.
It's...
I know his answer is epic.
Yeah, he has not froze. It's just that I'm not answering that.
Oh dear. Go on then, Tom. Roy will be back in a minute to give us his board game, hopefully, unless he's just decided completely against it.
So, I don't know if I can answer this. So I think it's either got to be monogamy for obvious reasons, or
Right.
it's got to be Twister, because there's nothing like trying to get out of like uncompromising positions in life, is there? Do you know what I mean? We've all been in them, but if you can get out of it, like, you're winning, aren't you?
I like that. I tried to think of an answer for myself. I'm just going to say Mousetrap because I thought it was brilliant when you were a kid. That game. Don't know if you boys remember the old Mousetrap game.
What game?
Yeah. There's that little bit of cheese on it right at the end or whatever. And I remember that.
Did they have board games in your day or not?
No, mate. No. I'm just trying to think what we did. Yeah.
Yeah, we've
You
definitely
must have some stories.
Mate, I love a board game. I do. But again, I think part of it is that competitiveness, that wanting to win.
Yeah.
I can imagine you at Monopoly would be something of a legend to watch that.
Oh, there's some serious game planning going into that. You know, I'm not your conventional Monopoly player. You know, I like play the person, not the game.
Yeah. No, definitely. So I guess finally then, Tom, and hopefully Roy does come back on and tell us his favourite, or the one that the
if
game
not,
that
I've got to
represents
tell you because it was genius. We'll give it a couple, but that was genius. This one.
All right, we'll hang on.
Hopefully he comes back in. Hopefully he comes back in. Yeah.
Hopefully. So finally then, so if you talk to us for a little bit about any events that are coming up for Sobriety Club that you want obviously people to be aware of, and how can they get involved?
Yeah, so Sunday the 21st of December, Forum in the CAF where the Forum is. We will be having an event from 3 o'clock till 8 o'clock where we will be selling some merch. The Coote man, the legend, will be talking about his journey. We've got Lee Van playing some music, with just a general, safe, open space for people to come. And I think that Adi will back me here. This isn't just for people that are going through it. This is for people that want to support the message. So there's going to be people that know people that are struggling. There's going to be people that maybe have been through a little bit of a time in their life and come out of it the other end and can relate back to this. And I think that this should just be an open space for family, friends, a support network, get as many people there as we can, spread the message, spread the love, understand that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to talk. It is okay to not be good. Like, you know, everyone at some point in their life, unfortunately, is going to go through hard times. It's just how life works. And it's just, we can raise awareness and help people over the world, because listen, this is not just in the UK, it's going to go everywhere. Then we're doing if we've helped one person, we've done our job, you know. And if we can help more than one person, then we've cracked it. You can feel something special about it. It's been 10 days, but not really started properly yet, and you can just feel it in the air. There's such a positive vibe about it.
Good.
And I think everyone can relate to this. So if local people in Norwich, if you can get to do your Christmas shopping and come and visit us, say hello to a Norwich legend, say hello to a wrestling legend, say hello to one of the best musicians in the area, and say hello to the Del Boy of Norfolk over here.
Excellent. No, that sounds really good. Thank you, Tom. Tom's gone as well now, so he may come back. And I know obviously he's in the inner workings of Dereham Town Football Club at the moment, isn't he, Adi? So
yes,
I think hopefully he's gone. Adi, thank you for obviously introducing these guys and bringing them on. What are you saying for? I think we obviously talked about a little bit about the the manager situation. But we've got Birmingham City next, which will be the episode before that game, if that makes sense. So
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about. I know it's difficult because it's still a couple of weeks away, but perhaps give us a prediction.
Gosh, I predict that there'll be some nervous players in that dressing room over the next couple of weeks. I predict that.
Yeah.
I always like the idea of a new manager coming in because, yes, it gives everybody a fresh start, fresh eyes come in, and we'll play potentially a different way, and we'll utilise players in different ways and stuff like that. So everybody gets a clean crack at it again.
Yeah.
And you get to see then the players that really, want to bust a gut to get into the team, and which players are cruising and comfortable.
Yeah.
And so, for me, the players that come out of the next couple of weeks or month in front of a new manager that have really worked themselves back into the team, then, are going to be deserving of our backing, if you like.
Yeah.
I used Shane Duffy as a bit of a loose example. I'm not saying this is what's going to happen, but if the new manager comes in and he's picked as one of the starting centre halves in his first game, that tells me that in the time the manager's been in, he has seen something from Shane Duffy in terms of leadership or attitude or commitment to training or working hard on himself and stuff like that. So, if he's a player that's prepared to do that and to offer that, I would take that over somebody that is just comfortably cruising through their time at Norwich.
Yeah.
And you'll get it, you'll get the majority of the squad working really hard and fighting for a place in the team. And you'll get some that just not prepared or can't give what it is the manager's looking for. And I think the sooner we can get rid of players like that and bring in, players that the new manager wants, then the sooner we can start thinking about what the future will look like. Because as loath as I am to say it, we were talking at the end of last season on a podcast where we were saying we don't want to be talking again in November about a new manager and a new squad build. And yet here we are, and how much time do you now give to bedding in a new squad, a new style of play? Do you give it a couple of months? Because that takes us through January then.
Yeah. And I think that
and that's another 10 games gone. So what is it? What is the goals for this season now? I think if they can just create some kind of unity between fans and board, and that's a mammoth task, by the way. I think that's a step in the right direction. Because at the moment it appears, and just going on what I read and what I hear, that we can't get much right off the pitch at the minute. And so I don't know how we can then focus on getting things right on the pitch. Exactly. Does that make sense?
No, completely agree. Completely agree with you. Tom, just before we finish, go on then. What was Roy's board game?
It was actually it was Monopoly, because he's used his get out of jail free card a few times. His stories are the best in the world, by the way. He's got to do another book. I keep encouraging him to do that.
Yeah.
What I would say about the man is he's generally one of the nicest people I've ever met. I think his heart is pure, and he's a good man. And he's, as AD would say earlier, the first thing being accountable and owning it, and he's done that, and that's really good to see him on his journey and healing.
Yeah, definitely. Past our best wishes.
We've become our true selves. I genuinely feel that, and that's kind of what I feel like I'm working towards, and I feel that with him as well. Like, I definitely feel his positivity and his energy and his peace around just having a new way of life, because that's what it is, isn't it? Sobriety, just a completely new way of life, and a much, much better one.
Yeah, and I think that the best thing about him is, right, he's like I said, he's been accountable, right, but he's understood the process of the journey of how he gets to that darkness, and I think owning it head on, but not just owning it head on, understanding that your past has an impact on your journey, right? And how you behave. And I think he's had a real understanding of how your brain works and how chemicals affect your brain. And I think there's a deeper understanding to him than what people give him credit for. And he's very, very driven. The one thing about me and him is I think we've been through life. I've had a lot of rejection in my life from a mum in an early age, from being released 3 times in an academy, to being in football management where I can empathise with the Norwich manager is all the fingers get pointed at you, but really no one understands what goes on behind the scenes. Everything that goes on behind the scenes accounts to you get what you deserve on a football pitch, and you're the fall guy, And I think that Roy's had that in his life as well. And I think that what we're doing is we're now taking control of this for ourselves. We're not accountable to anyone on this other than ourselves. And it's quite refreshing for me not to have to answer to people and do something for myself for once as well, So I think it's a great journey for everyone involved. We've got some wonderful ambassadors involved, more to come, which are exciting. And I can only see this growing and getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's all done for the right reasons, and the purity behind it is unbelievable.
Yeah, it's really good, Tom. And thank you once again for jumping on. We'll do as much as we can to help you. Hopefully we can send someone down to cover that event for you. If not, it won't. It will be AD, you're there anyway, aren't you? But
I will be.
Yeah, if you can. Do
by the way, last message to Norwich fans. Is just you. I know people know this, but you've either got to have a thankless pot of money, and that just can mask up things. You can buy your way out of anything with money, and if you haven't got money, it's going to take time. You've got to be patient. You've got to roll with the punches. It don't just happen overnight. You got to be careful what you wish for sometimes, and just understand where you're at. Sometimes accept it. I hear some fans talk, and listen, everyone's entitled to their opinion because they buy a ticket, but just think a little bit more before you speak. Think with a little bit of logic. You're not playing Football Manager, Sam. That's my question. That's my thing to people. Do you know what I mean? So just try and understand it from everyone's angles a little bit more than just getting emotional with the result. Your team can actually play well and lose, and your team can actually be atrocious and win. And remember that. Look at the process, not the outcome. If you get the process right, 9 times out of 10, the result will look after itself. There you go. That's my wisdom.
Toastie fella, this ain't Football Manager, son.
I thought it was
AA. I was like counselling.
You know what, Adi? I thought we were on the interview panel for the vacant Norwich City manager's job there. I think that was.
Sure. I'll do it for free. I'll do it for free, right? And if I keep you up, I only want 7.1 million. That's it. I don't think that's a lot to ask for.
No, I think that's a small price to pay for safety in the Championship for sure.
Get Coote and Roy in. Do you know what? I'd pay to watch that. Coote and Roy management team. Coote brings the tactics and a bit of fun. Roy brings suplexes if people don't do their job properly. I mean, I think we'd all want to see that. It's just world class.
100%. Yeah, I think it'd be good fun. I certainly do. Thanks once again, Tom. Thanks, Coote. It's been amazing, and we'll make sure this goes out pretty sharpish just to spread the word for you. For everyone else watching, please like and subscribe on our channel for more great content, and we are also on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok. We are proudly supported by Master Seal and Pie Design, and you can also find us on the TalkSPORT Fan Network. I've been Jez Davies.
I've been Jez Davies as substitute co-presenter.
I've been Tom.
And I'm now going home to play Football Manager.
This ain't Football Manager, son.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.